Welcome everybody to another episode of Gamer Daddy. Woo! I came in hot on the mic this morning. Oh man, it is early morning. It's 6:02 in the morning and I'm sitting at work. I'm not even in my work clothes yet to do a podcast. So I've been having a lot of issues because, I've expressed like, hey, I've been helping take care of my grandma and stuff, just finding time to actually play games and podcast. So I've decided to take one of my dedicated rest days for working out because working out is something I love to do. And I started this new program, not an ad, but Vava Fitness, and they their Movement 20XX program, and they basically they give you 3 rest days. So I don't take all the rest days, but normally I do handstand stuff today. So I've decided that I'm going to just take and put my planche and front lever training that I have been wanting to do, that's on Saturday, and put that on hold so that I can do handstand stuff on Saturday instead. Because my normal workout is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So we'll see how it goes. They kind of leave it open to say like, hey, you can work out if you want, but or do cardio or whatever, but just try to get sleep and diet and rest. Anyways, so I'm not going to tell you what today's game is yet. I'm going to let this little ditty by Jack and Diane, just kidding, I'm gonna let this little song kind of explain what it is. So I'm gonna turn my mic so you can hear it, and we'll just give it a listen. I can't get my work computer up much louder, and that's why I'm doing it this way. Damn, the song is 2 minutes long. Okay, anyways. So if you don't know what that song is, that is part of the OST for Parasite Eve 1 for Squaresoft's Parasite Eve Uno. Like I said, one of my favorite games of all time. Must have played it like 14, 15 times. I know I said when I started the live that I played it 14 times, but it could have been more, could have been less. This last winter, or no, it was the winter before. Since the game is heavily Christmas, New Year's based, I decided right after Christmas I would start playing it. And I was, I guess, trying to speedrun it. So, so I just kept playing it. And by the time I stopped playing it, it was at a point where my wife was like, why do you keep playing this game? Can you please stop playing this game? I'm tired of seeing this game. So, that was probably about 5 times in. And we'll get into that more later in the episode. I need to do some stuff real quick here, though. Let me see if I can get any of the information on this song. No, don't want to do that. There's just comments. Nope. Okay. Anyways, well, I'll get into this so I can put a little disclaimer in the front because I played, music for Square Enix. So let's get into some of the information on the game. And we'll try not to get too far into it so I can get into... We have a bit of a debacle in the game, and I wanted to get into that a little bit later, but here we go. Just so you know, if you didn't know, I am also recording for YouTube. You just look up Gamer Daddy on YouTube and you'll find my logo, and that's where it'll be. I finally figured out how to do this because these videos, if they take too long, I have to compress them way down. Because the last one I put up, before I compressed it was like 6 gigabytes, and YouTube was like, I don't know what to do with this. And then I found a program, compressed it down with my phone, and boom, it worked perfectly. Parasite Eve is a 1998 action role-playing video game developed and published by Square. This was before they became Square Enix. Which was actually a pretty good merger, to tell you the truth. Anyways, published by Square, this game is a sequel to the novel Parasite Eve. Let's see if I can get anything over. Parasite Eve is a Japanese science fiction horror novel by Hideaki Sina. First published by Kodokawa in 1995, the book was published in North America by Vertical Inc. in 2005. Also, book was adapted into a movie, which they were like, based off the critically acclaimed video game and novel, blah, 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 blah. I don't even know if they said it was a video game, but it's a movie I've been wanting to watch because I loved this so much, and I'll get into that too shortly. Oh no, I'm getting an ad. I'm getting an ad. No, actually I'm not. I don't want to see that. There we go, it disappeared. It is also the first game in the Parasite Eve video game series. The story follows New York City police officer Aya Bria over a 6-day span in 1997 as she attempts to stop the Eve, a woman who plans to destroy the human race through spontaneous human combustion. Players explore levels set in areas of New York while utilizing a plausible real-time combat system along with several role-playing game elements. Parasite Eve was Squaresoft's first M-rated game and the first major American and Japanese game development collaboration for the company. It was produced by Hironobu Sakaguchi and directed by Takashi Tokita. Music for the title was composed by Yoko Shimomura, so all credit should be given to him for the music earlier. Who was widely acclaimed for her should be given to her for her work to create an inorganic and emotionless soundtrack that saw 2 album releases. Oh my god, the soundtrack in this is so good, and I'm probably going to use it for the podcast. Parasite Eve received positive reviews. Critics praised the graphics and gameplay, but found the overall game too linear and with little replay potential, which is not true because it's a great game and has a ton of replay potential. Plus, if you don't replay it, you don't get the real ending. The video game adaptation was part of a resurgence of popularity in Japanese horror sparked by the original book and was released alongside a film adaptations and 2 mangas or comic books, which I have to find. One based off the book, the other one on the video game. The original title was also followed by 2 video game sequels, Parasite Eve 2 in 1999 and Third Birthday in 2010, and was re-released on the PlayStation Network in 2010. What's crazy about Third Birthday is I waited so long for that game. Even though I knew Parasite Eve 2 was out, I didn't have Parasite Eve 2 for a long time, and I waited for Third Birthday to come out. Waited. The news dropped, and they just basically dropped it as just a title in Game Informer. But the cool thing is, if you looked at the screenshot that they left, it just said Third Birthday, and it was written in the same letters as Parasite Eve and Parasite Eve 2, and you just knew, like, holy crap, there's a Parasite Eve coming out again. Let's go into some of the gameplay. Parasite Eve is an action role-playing game with survival horror elements. Movement in the world map, which is a map of Manhattan, is limited to specific destinations. Upon the player walking over a hotspot, there's a chance of a random encounter. Enemies materialize and attack players on the same screen that they move around on, with no battle mode or screen being used in battle. The game uses a pausable real-time combat system with an active time bar, or ATB, that sets the time that must be waited till the player can take their next action. While waiting for... I was just about to get in this. While waiting for her turn, the player character Aya can be moved around to dodge enemy attacks. Upon each turn, the player may choose between attacking with their equipped weapon by pressing the attack button, which is X, using PE, Parasite Energy, for defense, assistance, or attack, using items, changing a weapon or armor, or escaping the battle. If the player chooses to attack, the battle briefly pauses and a dome sphere symbolizing the range of the weapon appears, allowing the player to target an enemy within range. Parasite Energy recharges during battle, but the more players use it, the slower it refills. Puts you in a huge pinch. When not in battle, the player has the option of altering the weapon and armor attributes and effects with tools and super tools, which are limited in number. The player selects the tune-up option, choosing the weapon that will be altered and the weapon from which the attributes or effect will be taken, which was kind of a confusing thing the first couple times you play it, but if you pay a lot of attention to what you're reading when you're playing it, it makes more sense. And the more you play it, the more it makes sense. They say it's really limited until you get until New Game Plus, so best thing to do is transfer your weapon and armor over, New Game Plus, and then any tools you find, you just add stuff to that weapon, and you add stuff to that weapon, and then there you go. You have more and more tools for that weapon till you make a super weapon, or you just get the Desert Eagle, which I was stupid enough not to get. Weapons have many different properties, including special effects like acid, which cause enemies to continuously take damage. One of the principal RPG elements that in the game is that experience-based levels are present. We'll get into that too. Each time the player level increases, her attributes go up, and her attributes go up, and BP bonus points are given. These points can be distributed to the ATB, item capacity, or attributes of the weapon or armor. Before we get into that, into anything else, here's the thing about the levels in the system. This game was designed to only be played up to level 38. They set it so by the time you hit level 38, you could actually beat the game. Even in New Game or New Game Plus, you'd be able to beat the game. So once you hit level 38, if you are still playing through the game, if you go and do any more battles, the lights are screwing me off on the live again. They're screwing me up. But if you go through a battle, the lights, if you go through a battle, I can't speak right now, let me get some coffee. You go through a battle, you're level 38. I think after 38, it only requires 1,000 experience to level up every time. So they didn't expect you to play past 38. So once you hit 38, that level up is super quick. It's like 2 battles each time. And you can just keep leveling up, getting points to upgrade your stats. It's pretty awesome. I think one of the times I played through the game, I got to level like 50, and I was just insanely OP. So once the game is completed, New Game Plus mode is available called EX Game. It is different from the normal game in various aspects. The player has access to every item stored in the police station. The game begins with the final weapon and armor the player chose before ending the first game, but returns to level 1 experience, and the bonus points given to the player at the end of the game are now available to use. The items, weapons, power-ups, and enemies are more powerful, as are the enemies the player encounters. However, the biggest difference from the normal game is the addition of the Chrysler Building, a brand new location with 77 floors, containing mostly randomized content leading to the final boss battle with Aya's older sister, Maya. So the thing about this game, when you get to the Chrysler Building, is it's completely randomized. You can't find a guide to the map. So basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the item room on the stage, and then the elevator. And every 10 stages you go through, you end up encountering a boss. Now the boss is a little bit harder than normal game. But like I said, if you grind a little bit in the normal game and you get up to past level 38, once you get to level 35, like 90% of the bosses in the Chrysler Building are easy up until the end. I've never been to the end yet, but I think on the next playthrough that I do, I probably will go through. I want to do certain things like get the 99 junk so I can get the Desert Eagle. So that's the thing is the junk mechanic was introduced in Chapter 2 of the game, and when you go to Central Park. And the enemies in Central Park, a lot of them drop it, especially the crows. They drop junk. And you go back to the police station and you trade it in. Well, if you're diligent enough about it and you just keep going back and forth once your inventory box fills up, and then getting more junk, and then keep rinse and repeat. You just keep collecting it, and you go drop it off with the guy at the armory of the police station. Oh, man. You keep dropping it off with the guy at the armory of the police station. He gives you weapons or upgrade stuff, armor or weapons, and you can get the Desert Eagle, which is has the best range and highest attack power for a pistol, and it can be upgraded. So I'm going to pause the podcast here. So here's the thing. I read through this part. So this is more information on the Chrysler Building. Figured it's important because I didn't read into it. After completing the game once, the player can access the Chrysler Building and have an access to the true final boss, who takes the form of Aya's sister, Maya. She explains to Aya that Clamp cultivated the liver cells of the original Eve to analyze when Melissa was giving birth to the ultimate being. She created a nest there in case Melissa and the ultimate being failed. The purebred would remain. Aya speaks with her sister, and then they engage in battle against the purebred. After the purebred is defeated, the mitochondria inside Aya's body begin to rebel against her. It is explained that Aya's mitochondria have now reached a higher evolutionary stage than Maya's, but Maya's personality has suddenly become dominant and began to fight off the Eve persona. Maya eventually wins, purging the Eve persona from herself somehow. Maya protects Aya by preventing the original Eve from taking over her. Aya leaves the building by herself, although she apparently has gained some sort of connection with her dead sister. I don't want to get into the development or release, but I do want to get into this before I get into the debacles of this game. It's only one big debacle, but and it's going to sound kind of stupid, but it's going to come at the end. So this game came out. It was the first game I ever actually spent money on. I was a huge PlayStation kid. Saved up money to get a PlayStation. And I remember I was in Kmart. And I was like, hey, I have money. Can I buy a game? I was talking to my parents. I was like, hey, can I buy a game? And they were like, sure. So I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't know what to get. And I see this game laying there, which ends up being Parasite Eve. And I'm like, this looks really cool. I'm gonna buy it. So I buy it. And then I have to wait like a full week to play it because I didn't have any time to play. And we were doing this, my parents were doing this thing where I would earn time to play video games. It kind of sucked. So, also, this was a point in time when I didn't have a memory card for PS1. So, I in fact couldn't save. So, literally, I played the beginning of this game, like the very, very beginning of this game, about 17 times before I ever moved on to it, because the beginning of this game takes at least 15 or 20 minutes, and I would only get like 45 minutes total. And as a 10-year-old kid or whatever, 9-10-year-old kid, I think that's I might have been a little older because I think I got greatest hits, but I think it was like 11. Because it was in middle school. As an 11-year-old kid, the game's hard, is what I'm trying to say. It's a hard game. So anyways, I played through it, and then I couldn't, by the time I got a memory card, I could not get past the first boss, which is an alligator, or crocodile, I don't know. Which if I had the ability to transfer video over from my other computer or do it up on this one, I gotta figure that out, coming in season 3. Anyways, God, that would make these episodes so much better. But anyways, it's a crocodile. I could not beat it. No matter what I did, I couldn't beat it. It took me years before. It took me giving up. Ooh, sorry, boogers. It took me giving up. And then starting again, then giving up and starting again. Like I said, it took me years to play through the first boss to get to the next area. Which, by the way, the first boss is probably by far one of the like most aggressive bosses because, you know, he's on two legs and he walks towards you. Also, if you don't pay attention or read anything in the game when you first start playing, besides the dialogue in the very beginning, and you're just obsessed with skipping stuff, you don't realize that it tells you in that first boss battle that the boss has two targets, and its weak point is its tail. So I was like shooting its face the entire time and couldn't do anything because you're really not strong enough. Also, I missed like 4 crucial items in the game that are hidden. Because you get 3 other pistols in the very first part of the game, and a tool. I think you get a tool by then. Not sure, but the 3rd pistol you find is twice as strong as the one you start with, which makes that boss battle easier. Stretching. Man, 6 in the morning's rough for this podcast thing. Anyways, so at this time, like I stopped playing, but I'm still pretty obsessed with this game. I might have started picking it up again. This was the time when they decided to launch the movie Final Fantasy Spirits Within. It was the first American adapted Final Fantasy movie. Weird story. I can't remember a ton about the story, but I'm like halfway torn between it sucked and it was good. The CG at the time this came out was amazing, like very amazing and so by that point I thought because they made a Final Fantasy movie, they were going to make a Parasite Eve movie. So for about, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, anytime they would come out with a new CG movie, or like I'd go to the theater, I'd be like, please be a Parasite Eve movie. Please be a Parasite Eve movie, because this game was so awesome. And then come to find out later that there was a Parasite Eve movie, and it was just like a horror movie. Not what I expected, not what I wanted, but that was the truth of the matter. So, anyways, before we get into that, let's get into the actual story of the game. Whew, spoiler warning. If you don't want to get spoiled, and you want to play the game for yourself de-virginized, then don't listen to this part of the episode. So yeah, I think this is the part of the episode where I would probably stop the live feed and just go straight podcasting. On December 24th, 1997, I attended an opera performance at Carnegie Hall with her date, which they don't mention what his name is, which starred Melissa Pierce as the lead. During the performance, Maya's advanced mitochondria, which had lain dormant in Melissa for years, awakened and transformed her into Mitochondria Eve. As her first act against humankind, Eve killed everyone in Carnegie Hall via spontaneous human combustion, except for Aya, who was immune to the effects. Aya instead gained parasite energy. They don't explain that it didn't kill Aya's partner or her date because they ran out fast enough. I would later discover that she was granted great power due to the fact that she possessed Maya's mitochondria transferred to her body during a corneal transplant, but they either evolved differently to be symbiotic due to geographical separation, or they were unable to take control of her as it did Melissa because of Aya's evolved cell nuclei. Eve begins to transform animals and organisms into neo-mitochondria creatures, or NMCs, the next day on Christmas. So basically in the first part, when you're in Carnegie Hall, at the end you end up fighting mid-boss, you fight Eve. Then she creates a hole, you drop down, you go through like four screens, and then you get to like a tunnel and a save point, and in that tunnel is the crocodile, which you have to fight. Which has an awesome video sequence to go with it. I would later discover that... I read that. The next day on Christmas, the police attempt to suppress Eve's existence from the public due to the lack of clear details and eyewitnesses. However, in the following press conference, Aya reveals the truth despite the concerns of Captain Douglas Baker. Some reporters wonder if Eve is an alien. Later, Aya and Daniel visit a scientist named Dr. Hans Clamp at the American Museum of Natural History. Aya recognizes Clamp from her memories, but isn't sure why Clamp informs Aya and Daniel about mitochondria and mitochondrial Eve. After Aya reveals the suspect of the case called herself Eve, Clamp seems surprised and refuses to answer any more questions. And then you go into stage 2. Later that day, they hear that Eve is in Central Park. Only Aya goes as Daniel risks immolation. Aya explores a zoo and chases a strange figure of a little girl along the way. At Della Corte Theater, Eve turns the audience into an orange slimy mass, except for Daniel's son. Eve invites Aya to a horse ride and immediately immolates the horse. Eve asks Aya, which is an awesome video sequence, by the way. Eve asks Aya why she refuses to side with her, and Eve reveals Aya's mitochondria is what drew her to the theater. Aya is knocked unconscious during the carriage fight. Daniel discovers that his son Ben was at the park but escaped being turned to slime. His ex-wife, Lorraine, was less fortunate. Manhattan is evacuated due to the threat that Eve poses. While Manhattan is being evacuated, a Japanese man named Kunihiko Maeda manages to sneak into Manhattan. He finds Aya unconscious and takes her to an apartment in Soho. The next day, Aya awakens in the apartment with Daniel and Maeda at her side. Maeda reveals the original origins of Eve. A scientist tried to culture the cells of his wife after she was involved in a car accident, and the mitochondria in her cells took over her body. Maeda believes that Eve may be trying to give birth to an ultimate being. The three visit Dr. Clamp again. He tells Aya that the nuclei in her cells are fighting Eve's mitochondria. After he asks a few questions of her, they leave and return to the police station, which has been attacked by Eve. Aya, Maeda, and Daniel rush to save Ben and Douglas from a mutated police dog named Shiva. They are successful, however. One officer named Torres Owen is killed. Torres is the main guy who runs the armory in the police station, but his apprentice, so to say, the guy that always wants to give you bazookas but can't, because of Torres, he takes over mid-game, because this is day 3 by that point. The part where Shiva gets turned into a big mutated three-headed Cerberus-type dog is really sad. I was sad to watch as a kid, but awesome boss battle. I was glad I got to experience. The next day, the trio head to St. Francis Hospital, where Maeda thinks Eve may try to get some sperm for the ultimate being. When they arrive, man, when I found out they were doing sperm in this part, I laughed so hard. When they arrive, they find that Eve is already there. Eve takes the sperm and escapes. The next day, Aya witnesses the orange mass of people from the park enter the city water supply. She visits Dr. Clamp one more time and discovers that... Hold on. St. Francis Hospital is way bigger than that. You find that Eve has the sperm, and then you get up on the roof to chase after her, and you find out that she took not an egg donor, but someone who was going to get sperm from the clinic, and turned them into a big spider mother. Like, woman, 40 breast, spider body. You fight her on the rooftop, beat her. Eve immolates a person in a jet, and the jet starts flying towards the building. You escape on one of those window cleaning scaffolds, and the spider knocks one of the lines out. You fall. You finally get it to stop, and it's like 5 feet from the ground. The building blows up. The top of the building blows up, and then you drop down, and you find Daniel and them. The next day, Aya witnesses the orange mass of people from the park enter the city water supply. She visits Dr. Clamp one more time, which the city water supply part was crazy because it's a huge sewer, lots of good items there, and discover that Dr. Clamp has engineered special sperm for Eve so that she can create the ultimate being. He then spontaneously combusts. Aya helps him by putting out the fire. His final moments, to which he questions the logic and reason for her compassion, but Aya simply says that it is what she, as a human being, must do. Clamp's cold view and opinion on humanity is unchanged as he dies. Aya finds Eve in another part of the museum, where the orange mass has surrounded her, forming an impermeable shield to protect her, while the ultimate being gestates in her. Here's another thing, is during that part, you fight a T-Rex, because the orange goo surrounds it and becomes a T-Rex, like, reanimates the bones to fight. Pretty fun battle. Also, there's a lot of fighting dinosaurs in the museum. After several failed attempts to attack Eve, the military asked Aya to attack her from a chopper, as she is the only one who can get close without combusting. The plan works, but Aya has to personally finish the fight on Liberty Island, besides a now-wrecked Statue of Liberty, where Eve finally succumbs. After this, however, she had to destroy the ultimate being that Eve gave birth to. After an ongoing battle between her humanity and evolution, Aya successfully managed to destroy the creature with a little help from Daniel and Maeda. Soon she becomes the heroine for courageous acts, while few civilians were aware of the details of the events. What you don't know is that also, so during this part, there's a battle with Eve at the Statue of Liberty. Pretty intense battle. And then once she dies, you go back to an aircraft carrier, and then the ultimate being is born, and then you show up. He shows up on the aircraft carrier. You fight him. He evolves through the battle. Maeda throws you ammo he's been working on for your gun, which is the only thing that can do damage to his final form. You think you killed him, and then he chases you through the boat, which you have one route you can go that's safe. Every other route is not safe, and you have to blow the boat up and get off. If you don't go the right route, he gets you, and you have to do the battle all over again, because you can't save before that point. Also, at the point before this battle, you decide what weapons and armors what weapon and armor you're gonna take over to the new game. After the events in the game transpire, Aya and her friends go to the opera at Carnegie Hall again. Aya communicates with the entire audience's mitochondria, and their eyes begin to glow pinkish red. The meaning behind... Oh. There it is. This ending is ambiguous. One theory is that this is what Eve meant when she told Aya, the more you use those powers, the more you become like me. It is possible that this Carnegie Hall ending scene is not canonical due to the events of the EX game, which the player can receive to prematurely end the game, though it is presumed that the events of the rest of the game continue. Okay. Let's get through the debacle of this. So, actually, I have a biography of Aya here that I'll read through real quick. 36 minutes. Okay. I was born to Mariko Brie, who was Mariko Anzai from the book, or just a homage to her, and an unnamed father who worked as a journalist alongside her twin sister Maya. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts on November 20th, 1972, with an eye defect in her right cornea. Aya and Maya and Mariko were involved in a car crash. When the girls were 5 years old, on December 23rd, 1977, they were transported to St. Francis Hospital in New York City, where an intern, Hans Klamp, visited them and may have been involved in their operations. Aya survived the crash and waited for her mother and sister to come home, but they passed away, and was raised from there as an only child by her father. The official Brady Game Strategy Guide claims that she was placed in many foster homes. The reason for this discrepancy is unknown, though. It is possible that Aya was raised by her father for a few years and he suddenly died, and then she was placed in foster homes. One of Maya's kidneys was transplanted into a girl named Melissa Pierce, who was also hospitalized around the same time for kidney failure. Maya's cornea was also preserved for possible future use to correct Aya's defect. Approximately 2 years later, Maya's cornea was transplanted into Aya when she was 7 years old. It is unknown if this operation was also at St. Francis Hospital and if Hans Klamp was involved. Unknown to any of the doctors, Maya's mitochondria were highly evolved and began changing Aya and Melissa's genetic structure, starting from the organs they received from her as separate of the same species occurred. The two strains underwent different evolutions. As a young adult, Aya studied criminology at the University of Virginia between 1992 and 1994 and was involved in their ROTC program. She later relocated to New York City and became a police officer for the NYPD, working a mere 3 years before being promoted to the rank of detective. She became part of the father and daughter team, where she was partnered with the veteran officer Daniel Bo Dawes, Within 6 months of working at NYPD's 17th Precinct, Aya became involved in a tragedy known as the New York Blockade Incident, the event of Parasite Eve. I wish she was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think that would be a good fit for her. Anyways, so the discrepancy I had with this game is, for the longest time, I did not know how to say her name. Because there's no VO in this game, so it's hard to say. It's hard to figure out how to say her name, and this is where the discrepancy runs in. Because before I decided to do this, and it's what spawned me to do this, I looked up how to say her name, and it is Aya Bu Rei. But in Japanese, when you actually listen to the full translation of the name is actually in katakana, which is a part of the language that is for using for saying American words that they don't have a word for. So like American names they put in katakana. Anyways, it just signifies this is, from a different language. It's the sounds that are closest to the sounds that they make. That's what it is. The most white description of katakana. Anyway, so her name is written completely in katakana, which is weird because I don't know why they just didn't give her a Japanese name or the American name. And that's where the discrepancy falls, because everyone says, I thought it was Bree when I first started playing the game. Everyone normally says Bria. The issue is the katakana, if you play it on Google and you research it, the katakana actually translates to the name Blair. So her name technically would be Aya Blair. And that's where the discrepancy runs in for me, because why didn't they just leave it Blair? They're in America. Leave the name the same in Japan. Just change it to Blair, because it's a direct translation. Save confusion, because it only makes sense. Why not change it? So this has been the biggest discrepancy for me. I feel like it makes the game kind of a fraud, because I don't understand why they decided to leave it like that. You could have just changed it to Blair, and it still would have flowed just as well. Could have just said the mother changed her name. They changed their name when they came to America, or something. I don't know. Anyways, weird nitpicky thing, but I just thought it was weird because it translates to Blair, which I thought it translated to something else. So with that being said, that is this episode of Gamer Daddy. Let me pop this back up again because I want to... I actually want to get the music information so I can put it as a soundtrack to this episode. Let me go to this. There we go. Go into the Wikipedia so I can get the music for this. Parasite Eve original soundtrack album by Yoko Shimura, released May 21st, 1998, recorded Andorra Studios, Los Angeles, length hour 46:55, labeled DigiCube, produced Square Enix. All rights are reserved to that person and that company, and we're just going to leave it at that. Thank you everybody for listening to Gamer Daddy, and we'll see you on the next episode. Let me play out here. Stupid ad.
You didn't pick it up, so I don't know if it...
So bring me the horizon. Anyways, that was Gamer Daddy. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. Rate and review us on whatever platform you listen to this podcast. If you want to say hi or have a suggestion for a future episode, you can reach me at gamerdaddypod@gmail.com.
All feedback is welcome. The intro theme is Cascade by Cubby, and the outro is A Story to Tell by Sonatics. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next Gamer Daddy. And, by the way, to clear this up, I'm the host, not Josh.